Welcome back to the Bass Tutor. My name is Tyler Fry and I'm the Bass Tutor. Today I wanted to go over my top 5 favorite big bass baits. You know, springtime is coming around and pre-spawn bites getting strong, and that's when those big fish are really going to start biting really good. You know, all throughout the country, some people are there, some people are getting close, some people are still a few months out. But I wanted to make this video to get you ready to start throwing these big baits and trying to break that PB. It seems like every year around this time, anywhere from March to May, it seems like I've broke my PB, and I don't think that that's a coincidence. It seems like around those months is usually pre-spawn, spawn, and post-spawn time. And so that's really when those bigger fish are going to come up and they're going to try and get those big meals. So I wanted to go over these baits real quick and hopefully get you all on some huge fish this year. So whenever the water temperature starts edging around 60 degrees is when I'm going to start throwing a top water, like big time. And I'll throw it before then, but when it hits 60 is really when I start throwing it. So the number one bait that I'm going to start throwing is going to be the Super Spook. It's like the regular Spook, but a little bit bigger. It's got 3 hooks instead of 2. And typically what I'll do is I'll switch this back hook out for a feathered hook. I haven't on this one yet. It's brand new out of the package, but that's typically what I'll do. And so the second bait I'm going to show you for the top water category, a lot of you are going to laugh. You're going to say that's too big, that's a striper bait, whatever. You know, I've seen a lot of doubters, but I've also seen big fish caught off of it. That's why I still throw it. And that is the Strike King Mega Dog. It's like the Sexy Dog, but it's a lot larger bait. This thing, it puts off a ton of wake. And so this isn't a bait that you're going to throw out there and you're just going to start jerking it really fast across the top of the water. This is going to be one of those baits that you're going to throw out there and you're just going to pop it. You're going to let it sit for a second or two. You're going to pop it. It's going to be just a huge, just slow moving bait. And those huge pre-spawn fish are going to come up and annihilate this thing. They cannot stand that big fish laying up there on the top of the water dying. They want to come up and attack it. And so just throw this thing out there. Make sure you've got the right tackle. You're going to need a beefy rod. You're going to need some big line. I'd probably throw it on braid, probably 50 to 65 pound braid. Probably throw it on a 7/6 heavy rod, maybe a little bit bigger. And it really is a pain after a while in your wrist to sit there and pop that thing. But this isn't a bait that you're going to work really fast across the surface. I mean, it's a real slow, methodical thing. It's almost like throwing a jerkbait in the wintertime. You're going to kind of let it sit up there for a few seconds, pop it again. So don't forget to try that bait out. Number 2 on the list is going to be something that everybody throws basically year round, but it's just such a phenomenal bait. I couldn't go without putting it in here, and that's a jig. Whether it's a flipping jig, whether it's a football head like these 2 jigs, whatever the case may be, throw the jig. I don't know what it is. It doesn't seem to matter what size of a jig it is. Big fish, love them. And it's just, I guess it's the profile of the skirt. It makes it look like such a big meal to them. They just love it. These 2 right here are actually football head jigs, but you can throw any type of jig you want. If you're flipping around heavy cover, throw a flipping jig. If you're pitching under docks, throw a little bit lighter jig and skip it up under there. Just throw the jig, and those big fish will come and play. I'm actually going to make a video, hopefully coming up next week or later this week, about a secret little trick I do in the spring with a jig. So be on the lookout for that. A lot of people know about it, but a lot of people don't. So if you don't know about it and you go out to your local lake and try it out, it's liable to pull some fish out that a lot of people aren't seeing. The third bait, this is one that I caught my PB on 2 years ago. Actually, last year caught it on a different lure, but 2 years ago, my PB came off of the Zoom Old Monster worm. And I've caught some big fish on this thing this year too. Haven't broke my PB on it yet, but it's still early yet. So these are actually the 12-inch Old Monsters. I've thrown the 10, I've thrown the 12. They both work great. And you know it's early spring and most of the time people don't break out the big ribbon tails until summertime. Guys, break them out and throw them. Put you a little bit lighter weight on there if you're not fishing too deep, and just let that thing have that slow fall. Those huge fish, they can't stand it. If you drag that thing and you accidentally land it on a bed, it's lights out. Those big fish, they're going to come and they're going to eat that thing. The biggest thing with that, let them have a second to bite it. You're going to feel a thump, give it a second, say, say it out loud, say there's one, whatever you got to do. Just give yourself a little bit of time so they can get that big worm in their mouth. So the next bait on the category is going to be the big swim bait. Guys, a lot of people throw them, especially out in California and stuff like that, but you don't have to live out there to throw these big swim baits. These things will continuously catch big fish. I believe this one's a 7.5 inch one and this one is a 6.5. These are big swim baits, guys. I mean, they've got big profiles to them. These fish in those clear water lakes, they love those big things. They just, I don't know what it is about them. You can reel it real slow. A lot of times I like to have this keel weight on there, on the bottom, so you can feel it dragging across the bottom. It'll just sit there like that. A lot of times you'll reel it over a bed or something like that, and they'll just tear it up. And kind of in the same category, I wanted to throw in something that continuously catches huge fish year after year. And that's, again, the Alabama rig. We just talked about it in the clear water fishing video I made for the last video. But time and time again, the Alabama rig prevails and catches huge fish. And not only one fish, a lot of times you'll get 2 or 3 or 4 or just however many. I've never actually got to double up on an Alabama rig. I'm hoping to do that this year. But I have caught large fish by themselves on them. So, I'd love to catch multiple on it, but that's still a goal of mine. But don't be afraid to throw that Alabama rig out there. Make sure, as always, you check your state's regulations. And so the final bait is going to be a glide bait. This one right here is actually a river to sea glide bait. Not that expensive. These things do kind of run expensive, but it's worth it. You're less likely to lose these typically, knock on wood, but just make sure you got strong line, you got a good knot on it, and for the most part it's going to be okay because it's going to be in the top of the water column. You can either just jerk it like you would a jerk bait, or you can just slow reel it like a wake bait, which is my favorite way to fish this during the spring. Just let it sit up there on the top of the water, reeling through there. And I mean, it'll put off such an action like that. It's just crazy. Those big bass, they cannot stand it up there. It's almost like the big top water or even the swim bait. So guys, I hope this video has helped you out. And I hope every one of you get out there this year and are able to catch your PB, whatever it may be. A lot of people, they're sitting around the 3 pound range, 4 pound range, 5 pound range. You be happy, guys. Be out there and catch fish. Don't give guys a hard time because their PB is a little bit smaller or bigger than yours. So just get out there and have fun, make fishing fun, and try some of these big lures. I think it'll surprise you at the amount of fish and the size of fish that you'll catch. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and make sure to get out there and wet a line. We'll see you guys later.